Good afternoon and welcome to Listen at Lunch. As usual, 20 minutes for you to hear about something that you might not know, learn something new, just have a bit of time out for yourself, whether you're having lunch or driving somewhere. And as always, we've got a special guest, and today it's Peter Levesley from PEP, which is Professional Energy Purchasing. It's a bit of a mouthful, that, isn't it?
Yeah, it definitely is.
So I've asked you to come and see us today to just break down net zero, and that's not necessarily just for businesses. Maybe as for businesses, individuals, domestic, in the household. Everyone's talking about it. It's such a big topic.
Definitely.
So if you know, there's those books, IT for Dummies and How to Build a House for Dummies. Can you give us some net zero for dummies?
Yes.
Can you break
definitely.
it down? So.
Yeah.
What is net zero?
Well, so in theory, it's a very complicated process, but what it really means is that net zero is the amount of emissions that go into the atmosphere. They're then equalised by the amount we take out by things like planting trees or capturing carbon. On a really simple level.
Yeah.
Obviously, as you go into it, there's so many more levels to it, so many more considerations.
So does that mean that if a business is burning energy like they would, if they work out how much energy they burn and they plant enough trees to offset it, would that then make them net zero?
Yeah, it would, but the net zero is specifically, it's more aimed at what can you do to reduce your energy consumption first and then look at offsetting what you can't reduce.
Okay.
So it'd be like you'd calculate, how much gas you use in a year, how much electricity you use in a year, then you'd look at ways of reducing that. So it might be like get solar panels on your roof and batteries, for example. That'll take away in a sense from the amount of energy you're taking from the grid, and then you might look at how are you heating the building, the lights in the building, lots of different ways, and then once you've kind of done everything that's really feasible to do, you then look at offsetting whatever's left.
And is it expensive?
It can be. It depends how far you want to go into it. It depends how big your business is, really. Obviously, the bigger your energy consumption, the more you're going to have to pay to reduce that. You'll have to get a bigger solar array or a bigger new boiler, for example.
Okay. So I learned a little bit about net zero when I was doing the net zero strategy for our manufacturing company. We actually saved money in doing it because it turned out that the gas and electric rate that we were on was a kind of a historical rate, and it wasn't the best one that was available, and it was also not from renewable energy. So we were actually able to move on to a different rate that was cheaper, and we're now on a rate that is from a renewable energy source. So that's like a big tick into it.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what you want, isn't it?
Yeah. So there are options where when you are choosing your electric and your gas, you can choose to use renewable.
Yeah, so you can,
options.
lots of different companies offer green contracts. Essentially what that means is that for every unit of energy you use, that is then they'll have paid someone to generate that from a solar farm or a wind farm, for example, and then it basically cancels out because they're funding that and then you're being supplied with that energy. So it's still contributing in a way to your emissions because you are still using that electricity or gas, but further down the line it's offset because it's being purchased from someone.
that is, to me, that is kind of a quick.
Yeah.
I know it's not huge, but it's something that you can do quite quickly and do a big chunk.
It does come at a bit of a premium for a green contract. There's normally, a couple of pence built in to reflect that extra charge.
Yeah.
But again, that is something that's relatively easy to do. And then again, depending on your consumption, it can be quite cost effective to look at.
Brilliant. And what about as individuals? So if we're not business owners, if we're not kind of senior leaders, if we are just us average people working in business, what can we do as individuals to help towards net zero or just be more conscious of the environment?
Yes, I think the first thing is really to get educated on what it means, because I think lots of people have heard sustainability and net zero, but not a lot of people know what it means. So once you understand it properly, you can then, talk to other members of your team about what your business are doing. You can maybe come up with some ideas, and then it might be looking at how you commute to work every day, something as small as that. It doesn't always have to be, spend a lot of money putting solar panels on your roof. It could just be small changes that everyone in the business makes, and then altogether it adds up.
Yeah, I work in a lot of businesses because as a video production company, we get the benefit of going into lots of different businesses, lots of different sectors, and we often walk in not knowing that much about them, and we see their processes. You'd be surprised how many businesses we go into that are still very paper heavy.
Yeah.
And I think that is something that often those kind of processes have been going for so long. Sometimes I think businesses are not reluctant, but there's never a time to change it because they've got to...
It's been like that for so long, that's just how they do it.
Yeah.
And again, that's no one's fault, it's just the way things have happened. And again, in that situation, you can have a bit of an internal campaign of, do you need to print this off?
Yeah.
And then again, if you're saving paper, it saves the business money as well.
100%, and ink, that's really expensive.
And then you don't have the complication of recycling so much ink.
Yeah.
Same thing, it's like if you go into the staff toilets and the lights are on and then you turn them off. Just small little changes like that can really help add up.
Brilliant. And what about at home? So we're thinking about when we're at home, individuals, and we're trying to, we recycle. Obviously, we've got all those different coloured bins. I think everybody recycles now, don't they? What other things can we do at home?
So again, there's a lot of things you can consider. Similar to with businesses, you could look at, is your roof suitable for solar panels? And batteries, obviously, it's very expensive. Not everyone can afford that, but maybe make that consideration. At the same time, you can look at buying, A-rated products for your house. So it might be an efficiency rating of A for your kettle or for the toaster or whatever. Small things like that can really add up.
How would I know? If I've gone shopping for a kettle, I've literally just looked for a kettle that I like the look of. I didn't even know that there was an A rating.
It'll say basically anything that uses energy is rated for how efficient it is. So on the packaging somewhere it'll say, it goes A to G. Okay. So A is the most efficient, G is the least efficient. So it might be starting having those considerations of, maybe I don't buy the cheapest one, maybe I buy the cheapest A-rated one, for example, that'll save energy.
See, that's why these conversations are important, because I never knew that. So you might be buying the cheapest that's on the shelf, but that could end up costing you more in your electricity usage.
Yeah, exactly.
Actually, I had a kettle once that took ages to boil.
Yeah, there you go.
Ages. You used to stand there waiting for it. I bet it was G.
Yeah.
I bet I probably bought the cheapest one because I'm a bit I've always been a bit like that. I think, ooh, that's expensive. I think I've probably bought the cheapest option.
Yeah, maybe.
And then I've used three times more electricity waiting for one cup of tea. And then I'm that person as well. I make a cup of tea and then I forget about it. So then I put it in the microwave to warm it up.
Energy efficiency nightmare.
I know. Do you know what? Sometimes it's about just being conscious, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I do think we see about all these kind of activists and is it a buzzword?
I think...
Is it 'cause it's trendy? What do you think?
The facts are that the UK have got a legally binding deadline of 2050 to reach net zero. So that's what we're all aiming for. I think recently it's become a lot more popular, particularly with the war in Ukraine. That energy crisis, it's really brought energy efficiency to the front of people's minds, and then kind of out of that has dropped the sustainability, and we're seeing a lot more in the news about net zero, and it's just everyone's getting more familiar with the topic.
So it's not just a buzzword?
No, definitely not. It's here to stay, it's not going anywhere.
So if we could give some top tips for people that are maybe sat at work just listening to this, and there's 3 things that they could do immediately, so without spending 10 grand on solar panels, 3 things that we could all do today, tomorrow, to do our bit a bit more, what would they be?
So I think the biggest one is turning lights off. Again, we see it so much of, even in homes, you're not in the room but the lights are still on. Again, in businesses it's the same thing. Are you in that room, are you using it? If you're not, turn the lights off. That's just a really simple thing to do. And then if everyone starts doing it, we'll see big savings. For a second point, I'd again go back to looking at the efficiency rating of everything that you're buying in your home. Again, if you're buying a new printer for home or for work, again, look at that, because printers use a lot more energy than people think. Then the third one, I'd say, again, get educated, get familiar with it, and then start having those conversations with people at work, people in your personal life, just to see what everyone's doing, really.
Excellent, that's really helpful. So if people want to know more about PEP, where do they go? Who do they...
So our website is pepgb.com. Again, we've done a lot of work with Sheffield Chamber of Commerce, Barnsley and Rotherham Chamber of Commerce. We're their preferred energy provider, so all our details are on their website as well. We do a lot of work, funding work with councils. So again, that's going to businesses, helping them understand what net zero means, what they can do to address it. And then it's all about establishing where you are now, where you want to be, and how you get there.
That's brilliant. And are you impartial?
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah,
you don't
tied
sell
to anything.
one person's
No.
electric or...
No, again, we're completely neutral. We work with a number of electricity and gas suppliers. We work with a number of solar installers, heat pump installers. We're not tied to any product. We're just out here giving the best advice, because we don't want to see people ripped off, really.
No, we don't. Thank you very much.
Thank you.